The prosecutor rose from her seat with the steady calm of someone who knew she had the room's full attention. Your Honor, before we move forward, the state has obtained something the defendant posted online last night. The court should see it. Before we start, tell us, where are you watching from? Her words struck the Providence municipal courtroom like a dropped gavel. Every whisper died. Even the air seemed to pause. At the defense table, Tristan Lockwood, usually the picture of a polished, untouchable young heir, lost his confident mask for a split second. His jaw tightened, his eyes flickered, and then he forced his expression back into detached arrogance. Beside him, his attorney Sterling Ashford leaned in, brows tightening behind his rimless glasses. Your Honor, Ashford said quickly, the defense is unaware of any such video, and it was posted to Instagram at 11:47 p.m. last night. The prosecutor cut in. Removed at 7:23 this morning. Someone saved a screen recording. A cold shiver moved straight through the defense table. Tristan turned to his attorney, lowering his voice but not low enough. That can't be. I deleted it. From the bench, Judge Frank Caprio studied him closely, his eyes sharper than anyone in the room expected of a man his age. The internet forgets very little, Mr. Lockwood. And when it does, someone always remembers for it. Proceed. The clerk announced. Time stamp. 10:27 a.m. State moves to admit digital evidence from defendant's social media. In the gallery, Graham Lockwood, Tristan's father, a man whose wealth was spoken of in New England like a family crest, shifted in his seat. He wasn't accustomed to being in a room where someone else controlled the narrative. His shoulders stiffened. His son hadn't mentioned any video, and the expression now crawling across Tristan's face sent an unfamiliar chill through him. The prosecutor lifted her tablet. The video is 2 minutes and 14 seconds. The state believes its full contents are necessary for the court's understanding. Judge Caprio nodded to the clerk. Miss Brennan, let's play it. She connected the monitor. The screen blinked to life. Tristan appeared on camera, well lit, perfectly framed, unmistakably himself. He lounged in what appeared to be an expensive bedroom, the decor giving away silent wealth. Modern art, polished wood, soft lighting. His hair was styled, his expression careless. Then his recorded voice filled the courtroom. Got court tomorrow for that thing with the old man, whatever. Dad's lawyer says worst case, community service. Maybe a small fine, big deal. He smirked. The guy was asking for it anyway. Who tells someone to shut up at 1 a.m.? Mind your business, boomer. Pause it, Caprio said. The screen froze on the smirk. The courtroom could have heard a pin drop. A deep, horrified silence settled. Mr. Lockwood, Caprio said slowly, the old man you mentioned, your victim, is Donald Weaver. Tristan swallowed hard. I was venting. I didn't mean. You didn't mean to imply he deserved it. A 62-year-old retired firefighter asked to be beaten unconscious. Tristan opened his mouth but closed it again, unable to form words. Ashford tried to interject. Your Honor, my client was intoxicated when he— Intoxicated, Caprio repeated. Yes, he was intoxicated when he committed the assault. He was intoxicated when he broadcast bragging about it. The defense appears to be describing a pattern rather than a defense. Caprio nodded toward the clerk. Continue. The video resumed. And this Judge Caprio or whatever, Tristan said with a laugh. People act like he's some tough guy, please. He's pushing 80. What's he going to do, give me a lecture? I've had prep school deans scarier than him. Caprio lifted a hand. Pause again. Even silence seemed afraid to move. Caprio's voice was calm, almost gentle. So I remind you of a prep school dean. Tristan stared at the floor. Caprio continued, Mr. Lockwood, I've sat on this bench more years than you have been alive. I have seen every kind of arrogance a young man can carry. Yours is not new, but it is disappointing. In the gallery, Graham sat frozen. His hands were clasped so tightly the knuckles had gone stark white. Resume. The last portion of the recording played. My dad's already in damage control mode. Tristan, this reflects on the family, blah, blah, blah. He'll write a check. I'll put on some fake apology and we'll all move on. That's how it works when you're a Lockwood. A tremor ran through the room. Graham stood abruptly, face drained. Ashford turned sharply. "Tristan, why didn't you tell me?" "I deleted it," Tristan whispered. "No one was supposed to," Caprio spoke over him. "Mr. Lockwood Sr., if you prefer to step outside." "No," Graham said, his voice like cracked stone. "I will hear all of it." The final cut of the video began. "Honestly, I hope the old guy learned his lesson. Don't talk to people you don't know, especially not me." When the video ended, Tristan's frozen smirk lingered on the monitor like an accusation carved in glass. Graham lowered himself back into his seat, but this time he looked hollowed out, struck not by the court's judgment, but by the revelation of who his son truly was. Caprio spoke first. "Mr. Lockwood, you say you hope the victim learned his lesson. And what lesson was that?" Tristan's voice barely rose above a whisper. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean to teach him what?" "That a man who spent 34 years running into burning buildings deserved to be kicked unconscious." Caprio read from the file. "Donald Weaver, age 62, retired firefighter, 3 commendation medals, documented 17 lives saved, now volunteers as a school crossing guard." Caprio's voice sharpened. "And you hope he learned his lesson?" The prosecutor stood. "Your Honor, we have a statement from the victim's family." A woman stood, young, poised, fire in her eyes. "My name is Stephanie Weaver. Donald Weaver is my father." She faced Tristan without a flicker of fear. "I'm the one who recorded your video. A friend forwarded it in a group chat. Some people laughed. I didn't." She inhaled. "My father has a broken wrist. Months later, he still can't grip things properly. He has cracked ribs. It hurts him to laugh, and my dad loves to laugh. My 3-year-old kept asking why Grandpa's face was purple." She blinked hard. "He couldn't pick her up for 2 months." The courtroom felt smaller, pulled tight around her words. "You didn't just injure him. You humiliated him. Then you went online and bragged. You said he learned his lesson." "No. The only lesson here is that you believed money and your last name insulated you from the consequences of hurting decent people." She held Tristan's gaze. "You deleted the video, but I made sure it didn't disappear." Caprio watched her with something like pride. "Thank you, Miss Weaver. Your father raised a remarkable daughter." Stephanie returned to her seat. Tristan stared at the desk, as if hoping it would swallow him. But the moment that reshaped the entire case came next, and it came from Tristan's own father. Graham Lockwood rose from his seat with the slow, heavy movements of a man carrying a weight far older than himself. His polished confidence, the kind that money, status, and boardroom dominance had built over decades, had evaporated. What stood before the courtroom wasn't a tycoon, but a father confronted by a truth he had never meant to raise. "Your Honor," he said quietly, "may I speak?" Caprio hesitated only a moment. "Mr. Lockwood, this is highly unusual, but given the circumstances, proceed." Graham approached the stand, not with the swagger the public usually associated with him, but with the reluctant humility of someone stepping into cold water. He turned to Tristan, his only son, his heir, his legacy. "I watched that video just now," Graham began, voice trembling. "I didn't know it existed. My son didn't tell me. His attorney didn't know. But every day of his life I built a world for him where he didn't have to tell the truth." Tristan looked up sharply, wounded. "Dad, no." Graham lifted a hand. "Let me finish." The courtroom leaned in. "When Tristan was younger, I taught him something I believed was protecting him." Graham swallowed. "If he got in trouble, I handled it. If he made a mistake, I erased it. If he disrespected someone, I wrote a donation check and the problem went away." His voice cracked. "I thought I was shaping his future. What I didn't realize is that I was unshaping his character." Tristan's face began to flush with humiliation. His father had never spoken to him like this, certainly not in public. "I failed him," Graham said, "not the other way around. I created a son who thinks laws are inconveniences and people are furniture. A son who believes he can strike a man old enough to be his grandfather and walk away without consequence." The gallery murmured. Graham continued, "Your Honor, the man on that video, I don't recognize him. But I'm responsible for him." He stepped back from the podium. "I trust this court to do what I did not do, hold him accountable." Caprio regarded him with deep respect. "That may be the most honest testimony delivered in this courtroom, Mr. Lockwood." Graham returned to his seat, eyes wet, hands trembling. Tristan sat rigidly, stunned. His own father had just handed him to the law. The courtroom shifts, the prosecutor rose again, formal but not unkind. "Your Honor, the state is requesting a sentence that reflects both the physical harm and the blatant disregard shown by the defendant." Ashford finally found his voice. "Your Honor, my client is remorseful, deeply remorseful, and we ask the court to consider rehabilitation over retribution." Caprio turned slowly toward Tristan. "Young man, stand." Tristan rose unsteady. "What do you want to say for yourself?" Caprio asked. Tristan took a sharp breath. "I messed up." Caprio's eyebrow lifted. "That's the word you choose, messed up. I hurt someone. I humiliated him. I shouldn't have done that." Caprio leaned forward. "You shouldn't have recorded it. You shouldn't have boasted about it. You shouldn't have treated another human being like refuse." Tristan's gaze dropped. Caprio continued, "Tell me, Mr. Lockwood, what did you expect to happen today? That your father's wealth would cushion you? That your attorney would negotiate your way out? That perhaps I would scold you lightly and send you home?" A long pause. "That's what usually happens," Tristan admitted. Caprio nodded slowly. "And that, Mr. Lockwood, is the rot that has been allowed to grow around you." The room held its breath. The sentence. Caprio reached for the file in front of him but didn't open it. "I don't need the paperwork," he murmured. "Everything I need to know about your case was on that screen." Tristan flinched. "Here is my ruling." The courtroom went utterly still. "First, full restitution to Mr. Weaver, every medical bill, every expense, every hour of lost wages." Tristan nodded quickly, relieved. Money was the easiest part. "Second, 200 hours of community service." Ashford exhaled, lighter than expected. Caprio wasn't finished. "Community service at the Firehouse Museum, assisting retired firefighters with tour, cleanup, and maintenance." Tristan's face drained. "Third, you will also perform 60 hours of volunteer labor at the VA Rehabilitation Center under supervision." Tristan swallowed hard. "And fourth," Caprio said, his voice dropping into something heavy and ceremonial, "you will deliver a formal written apology. Not drafted by a PR team, not polished by attorneys. Your words, your handwriting, your responsibility." Tristan's shoulders hunched. Caprio tapped the bench. "But the most important part is this. If you fail at any portion of this sentence, the court will convert it into a custodial sentence." Graham jolted. "Custodial? Your Honor," Caprio raised a hand. "I am not threatening him. I am offering him reality. If he abandons his chance to grow, then he will face the consequences that follow." He looked straight at Tristan. "Young man, prison will not care who your father is." Tristan's breath caught. "And neither do I." The final blow. Caprio leaned back. "One more thing." Mr. Lockwood stepped forward. Tristan approached the bench. Caprio gestured to the gallery. "Mr. Weaver is not present today because he is still undergoing physical therapy, but someone is." Stephanie Weaver rose. Caprio said, "Look her in the eye." Tristan did, visibly afraid. Caprio spoke quietly so the words cut deeper. "You didn't just strike her father, you hurt her childhood memories. You stole something from their family. And you laughed about it." Tristan's face broke, shame, fear, and humiliation finally cracking through the entitlement. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Stephanie didn't move. "Tell that to the man you attacked," she said. "I will," Tristan breathed. The gavel. Caprio raised it, paused, and then crack. "Sentence imposed." Tristan flinched at the sound. But something strange happened. For the first time since the trial began, his father reached over and placed a hand on his son's shoulder, not to shield him, not to defend him, but as if accepting the first step in a long, painful road toward change. Caprio closed the file. "This hearing is adjourned." Outside the courtroom, the new beginning. The hall buzzed with reporters, murmurs, and camera flashes. Somehow, the Lockwoods walked through them unnoticed. Everyone's attention was fixed on the judge's ruling, and the video that had detonated inside the courtroom. Graham turned to Tristan. "This is your turning point. Don't waste it." Tristan nodded, shaken to his core. For once, his arrogance was nowhere to be found. Final line, the world expected a Lockwood to walk out victorious. But for the first time in his life, Tristan Lockwood walked out accountable. The story is a reminder that character is revealed the moment power is challenged. Titles, money, family influence, none of these protect a person from the truth of who they really are. In the courtroom, arrogance often walks in wearing confidence, but it falls apart the second consequences enter the room. The woman in the story believed the world owed her a different set of rules. She thought her husband's profession, her lifestyle, and her status made her untouchable. But real life has a way of leveling everyone. What changed everything wasn't punishment, it was perspective. Standing before a judge who saw through excuses forced her to confront the truth she'd carefully avoided. But the true impact came from the quiet presence of the blind veteran. His story carried more weight than any argument she could make. His dignity contrasted her entitlement, and suddenly her excuses sounded small. The lesson is simple. Humility will save you from consequences that pride invites. Respect for others, especially those who have paid a price for the freedoms we take for granted, is not optional. And in the end, life rewards sincerity, not status, responsibility, not ego, empathy, not entitlement.